Christian houses and churches were set ablaze simultaneously across these communities, and those attacks, according to information reaching us, are still ongoing as we speak.
Nigeria, a country that has produced global spiritual giants like Apostle Joshua Selman, Bishop David Oyedepo, and gospel legends like Nathaniel Beze and Snatch, is now drowning in a pool of Christians' bloodshed and silence. Christians are being slaughtered, burned alive, and brutally executed in their own homeland. Eyewitnesses say it is a war zone. They are being targeted just for believing in Jesus Christ.
For the information that we have confirmed, there are ongoing attacks presently in the south and the west of Makurdi, the capital of Benue State, which is reputed as the breadbasket of Nigeria, and also the south of Jos, which is the capital of Plateau State and also respected to be the Christian headquarters of Nigeria. So the attacks are ongoing as we speak right now, and we do not have all the facts. The details are still a bit sketchy, and we're still gathering information chiefly from witnesses who are still ducking for cover. But so far, in the past 1 week, well over 86 people have been slaughtered in just one county in Benue State alone. Others that have happened in the Guma County, which is presently witnessing the ongoing attacks as we speak, and more than 20 that have been slaughtered in the state of Plateau just in the past 1 week. Yeah, so in one remarkable thing about the videos is, or rather one important video that I sent is mass destructions, and of course one that also shows a church that has been burned to the ground, a testament to the fact that these attacks are not climate change or farmer herder clashes as genocide deniers would like to spread. There are religious attacks targeted at Christians, and they are chiefly aimed at imposing a caliphate in the world's largest black nation. And it is actually just the beginning or the first step to what I believe to be a global agenda, to take over the whole world. But getting a foothold of Nigeria is very strategic to this goal, because by the time more than 200 million Nigerians are now forced to become Muslims, and they are now recruited as food soldiers for this same mission, and they spread out in other countries, you can imagine the damage that they would do. Of course, there are other videos that show victims who are currently on admission. They are receiving treatment at the hospital from injuries that they've received from bullet injuries actually that they received in the past few days that the attacks have been raging. And of course, there's one particular woman, you can see her hand was severed by the attack. She is actually the sole survivor of an attack that cleared her entire family, that wiped her entire family. She watched the terrorists slaughter her 6-month-old baby, her 2-year-old baby, her husband, and another 5-year-old baby, all under her watch. She literally watched them, and as a matter of fact, she was brutally injured and simply left for dead. She would have also been killed if she had made a move to indicate that there were still signs of life in her prior to the departure of the terrorists. Yeah, because the Nigerian authorities have succeeded in making the world to believe that the most important problem in Nigeria right now is Boko Haram and ISIS, who are waging a religious war in the northeast of Nigeria. But again, we have a bunch of outlaws, members of an unidentified jihadist faction who identify as members of the Fulani ethnicity, waging the same terror war, the same jihad in the central region, chiefly in collaboration with these same terrorists, ISIS, Boko Haram, Al Qaeda, and the Nigerian government simply tells the world that these are just land disputes, these are just farmers, sedentary farmers clashing with semi-nomadic cattle herders. But in reality, when they come for these attacks, they don't go after Muslims, they don't go after mosques, they don't go after anyone who does not identify as a Christian. As long as you identify as a Christian, you are a target. And when they attack, they displace communities, they replace these communities and turn them to no-go zones for Christians and also as staging grounds for further attacks. Like I said in the last video, in the past 2 decades, more than 150 Christian communities have been captured by these terrorists and turned to no-go zones for the original Christian landowners. Now, that's just in Plateau State. There are 200 in Benue State. There are more than 200 in Kaduna State. There are more than 200 in Nasarawa State and in Niger State, where you have the so-called Fulani terrorists and contesting territorial control with these insurgents. There are more than 500 that have been captured by these terrorists who are fighting for the same goal, right? So while they might be fighting under different names and under different platforms and identities, the goal is to impose Sharia in Africa's most populous country.
The latest news will say continue massacre of Christians, genocide, land grabbing in Christian communities. This is my own experience, where this Fulani ethnic militias kill 58 Christian villagers who are mostly farmers from my wife's village. She lost 8 of her family members during the attack in a village called Zike. Zike is located northwest of Plateau State capital. Plateau State have faced these attacks repeatedly, and the government has been silent over these killings. Such atrocity, the attackers use machete, they use guns of AK-47 rifles. Sometimes we go for reporting, we see some of the shells of these bullets belonging to the Nigerian army or the mobile police officers of Nigeria. So this attack shows where did they, the question always asks, where are they getting these bullets? Where are they getting these guns? Nigerian law prohibits individuals to hold rifles, but they are getting it, and Christians are unarmed. They have no rifles to protect themselves. We can't discuss peace when you are holding gun while I have nothing. It's going to be so much dangerous on me. The peace and the justice will never work. There will be no justice. Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria. Let me say these persecutions have a long date history, since from Usman and Fodio jihad. This jihad is a long-time history that took over Christian communities in northern Nigeria. And this attack now, since it was not that much successful for them in north central Nigeria, Fulani are using the same tactics of Usman and Fodio to take over in a new method of attacks against Christians. In one of our villages called Inkedongro, at least some of the Christians in 2017 were killed in a classroom taking refuge inside Nigerian army camp, where they are taking refuge to. The Nigerian army called them for safety. They could not protect them. At least 29 were killed inside classroom. 3 got safe, and we have such testimony. And my own village alone, we lost more than 1,000 throughout these attacks. And presently, today, as I'm talking to you, Christians are being killed in the farm. The recent reports shows with Truth has been published with Truth Nigeria how Christians were being killed close to the military checking point as surveillance, mainly to protect civilians. But most time, the Nigerian army are always negligent to such attacks, and they care not when Christians are being killed.
And yet, the biggest question on everyone's mind: where are the pastors? Where are the outrage? Why the silence? While the masses suffer, spiritual leaders remain quiet. Not a word from the pulpits, not a protest. Why are not they speaking out? Why is mainstream Nigerian media blocking out the truth? Apostle Dura Waryunge, in an exclusive expose, claims this is bigger than you think. Muslims have already occupied Nigeria. They tried Kenya, it failed. But now they are moving into Tanzania. And guess what? The president there is Muslim too.
Why is the attack on the church in Tanzania? The attack of the church in Tanzania, it is a larger plan that is planned to be initiated in the whole of East Africa. And this has been an agenda from the Abuja Declaration to make sure nations subscribe and follow Sharia law. Kile Samia anachokifanya kule Tanzania ni anaandaa wakati wa kuingiza Watanzania wote kwenye sheria ama sharia ya Kiislamu. Ndio kila mtu atii na akae kulingana na sharia za Kiislamu. It is just but a preparation. Kenya walikuwa wamejipanga kwenye serikali vilivyo, walikuwa wamechukua wizara zote ama idara zote za ulinzi zote, na walikuwa wamezikamata vizuri, na walikuwa wamejiandaa kwa ajili ya kufanya hivyo. Lakini tulipojua, tuliinuka na tukakataa, na kutoka siku hiyo mawaziri waliokuwa ambao walikuwa wameshikilia idara ambayo inahusika na ulinzi wakaondolewa, wengine ambao walikuwa kwenye polisi wakaondolewa. Kumebaki wachache, maana pia ni wa Kenya, hatuwazui na hawatazuiliwa, lakini agenda iliyofiche ndio sasa imeondolewa Kenya, imepelekwa Tanzania, ndio waweze kudhulumisha wana CCM ambao ni Wakristo ambao wanashangilia huyu mama. Kuna wakati kulingana na mipango yao pia nyinyi mtakuja kulia. Kwa hivyo ilindeni East Africa isiwe inchi ya kidini, isiwe inchi ya dini la Wakristo wala dini la Waislamu, lakini iwe a nation where freedom of worship is experienced, where no single religion ambayo itadominate any other, where all the religions will be equal before the eyes of God and before the constitution and before the law. Kwa sababu what is about to happen is about that they are organizing strategically, putting in place, just as they have done in Nigeria, where now Christians have no power, Christians have nothing to say, they have got no say at all. They have been limited, they have been strangled, they are not able to speak, to say. Na waliinua vikundi kama Boko Haram. Boko Haram ilikuwa imesapotiwa na wale ambao walikuwa kwenye serikali. Ndio Wakristo wa maeneo mengine wafurushwe na wakozeshwe amani. And that is how the Islam has gained authority, supremacy in Nigeria. Now Christians are intimidated. Whatever they're doing, they are completely intimidated. This one was tried in Kenya, but it has failed, and it will fail, and nobody will attempt. And for the sake of the revival of the gospel of Jesus Christ, freedom must be protected at all costs. Kwa hivyo, anyway, is about Christianity being muscled. Whatever they are trying to do is to muscle the entire system of Christianity so that they can take foothold and to stop everything that is happening in East Africa, because they want to suppress the economy, they want to suppress the welfare of the people around, to stop any and everything that is happening, so that the Muslim the radical Muslim plan, or the Abuja Declaration, can be grounded from Tanzania towards East African nations. Therefore, we are not against. I'm not against the Muslim Brotherhood or anything that is concerning Muslim, but the agenda to suppress Christianity is what I'm against. We have the freedom, we have the power, and every person has a freedom to worship whatever you want to worship, and nobody is supposed to intimidate. Therefore, I'm asking my brothers and sisters in Tanzania, pastors and bishops, wherever you are, And the brothers and sisters in Kenya, pastors and bishops, and also in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Ethiopia, in Sudan, in Somalia, wherever you are Christian. This is the time to rise up and defend Christianity and defend any aggression against Christianity. Because if the agenda in Tanzania succeeds, it will succeed in Kenya. It will succeed in Rwanda. It will succeed in Burundi, DRC. It will succeed. Let's have nations that are not religious, secular nations where everybody has a position to worship their God. And the worshiping God should not be limited. And nobody, a Muslim for that matter, in the name of the president, has no right to shut down any system that is of Christians. Therefore, let us work hard. Let us move. Let us do everything possible to make sure this religious but barbaric acts does not or will not be entertained by anybody. And we demand immediate opening of the Gwajima churches. Gwajimanization, it is what we call that is personal philosophy, and which should be held personally to that person. Don't intimidate other people who are worshippers. It is Gwajima whom you should go for, not Christians, not Christianity, not a church. I want to demand again and again, East Africa is one nation. East Africa does not belong.
Is this a coordinated mission to Islamize Africa? Is this silence complicity? This is no longer about religion. It is about genocide. It is about survival. Why are not Christians rising up? Why are we watching this in silence? Where are the voices that once shook nations with the revival? This is not prophecy. It is happening now. Nigeria is under attack. If the world continues to ignore this, who will be next? Share this video. Expose the silence. Stand for the truth before it is too late. This is Stephen, GCNews.